Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wakafa wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. So, my dear respected brothers, firstly, on behalf of everybody at Spinney Hill, we'd just like to welcome all our guests. We're really kind of honored that you guys have, some of you have traveled so far from different cities just to hear about the project here and what we do. For the benefit of us, when the brothers reached out and they said, you're a bikers group, we thought we were like cyclists, so to realize that there's a Muslim, motorcyclists and there's a group and there's a network around the country, it's quite fascinating. So it'd be really nice for us if we can maybe hear from you guys, maybe from Brother Zishan, what you do and how you came about. And then from there, we can talk a little bit about us.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum, all the brothers who've come today. Just for the benefit of those who don't know much about Muslim Bikers, we started back in 2021. And the main reason to start Muslim Bikers was to create a community. We felt a little bit isolated. It was myself and my brother who was behind the camera. We decided that we need to have a place where we can enjoy our passion for bikes, but also be true to ourselves in terms of our faith. And slowly but surely, we decided that we can incorporate other areas into Muslim Bikers, which would be beneficial to the local society and local community. One of the key aspects of Muslim Bikers is dawah, because we found we live in a TikTok generation, and to capture the attention of the youth sometimes can be difficult. And so we thought the best way to do this is through bikes. Because when the kids see bikes, they're like, wow, we want to see the bikes and we want to see who's behind the bikes. We had an instance where we went to Masjid Umar, I think it was 2 years ago, and we were all parked outside the masjid. I think there's about 20 or 30 bikes. And I remember a father coming outside the masjid and saying to the kids, look, these bikers, look how cool they look. But at the same time, look, they go to the masjid and they pray. And that for me was key. And I thought, we're doing something right. We're doing something effective, and we have a positive outcome that we can achieve through Muslim Bikers. And then slowly but surely, we grew into other areas. We decided to start doing some fundraising, do some charity work. One of the key aspects of Muslim Bikers is to build community, build brotherhood, focus on men's mental health, because we have a taboo in our community when we don't talk about things. Men generally don't talk about problems. We don't talk about issues that we're facing. And I think that's why we're very interested in working with yourself, working with people who have difficulties or are facing difficulties in their life. And so for us to be able to support an organization like this absolutely fits and aligns with our interest in working with community. And slowly but surely, alhamdulillah, we've kind of now grown into a large community in Birmingham, in Leicester, in London, and in the north as well. And with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will hopefully continue to grow, not just in the UK, but hopefully across the globe.
It's really interesting because even though what you do and Spinney Hill are in some ways so kind of polar opposite, the kind of the trajectory and the journey, there's so many parallels. The brothers who you see here were instrumental in setting up the organization. This was never in the kind of plan that this is one day we're going to do this. But, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. And what we were finding as just people who lived in the community, we're all from this particular area, hence the name Spinney Hill. We were just coming across more and more people who were reaching out to us just because purely from the fact that we were known in the community and asking, I've got this issue now. Before brothers were taking cannabis, that was a bit more manageable, but more and more people were then experimenting with Class A drugs and alcohol. And unfortunately for a small percentage, but a significant percentage of those people, they were going on to become full-on addicts. Their lives were unraveling. They couldn't hold down their jobs. Their marriages were breaking down. Their health was failing. They'd broken their relationships with their parents and extended family. They were asking us for help, but we didn't have the skills, the expertise, or the knowledge really to support somebody with that level of addiction. And what we found is that the existing services that were there, the commission services, even though they had that particular area of knowledge in terms of kind of safe reduction, they didn't really understand the cultural aspect, the religious aspect, and the brothers were crying out for something more. They were coming back to us and saying, look, I went there, but they didn't understand when I say that, I feel really guilty about my faith, or I'm conflicted, or I'm having problems in my marriage, their solution was, well, leave your wife if that's causing a problem. So that led us on a journey to set up our own community-based center, which was confidential and free at the point of delivery. And obviously, we never started with a building like this. We started with a small room in somebody's office. What we realized is that over a period of time, the scale of the problem was far bigger than we ever envisaged. And the vision that we had right at that early onset, when we were in that small room, was to have a well-being center that catered for the mind, the body, and the soul. And what we realized is that for somebody to make a recovery, but not just a recovery, but to make sustained recovery for the body, most of our service users, they neglected their physical health. They wouldn't eat properly. They'd spend most of the money or income that they had on drugs or alcohol. So hence we have the gym free for our service users. They can come in anytime. It's probably one of the most used parts of the center. People come in during the day. We have structured classes on a Wednesday evening, Friday evening, and on a Sunday. But apart from that, people can come in. A lot of this has been just learning from getting feedback from our service users. And it's always been service user led. We've never tried to dictate what we think that people should do, but we've listened to them. We've seen where it's worked, where it's falling down. And one of the things we realized, unfortunately, is that most, if not all, of our service users have had some sort of trauma in their life at some point. And usually the drugs, the alcohol, whatever it is they're taking is a kind of a form of self-medication, because that horrible thing, whether it was abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, bereavement, neglect, whatever it may have been for that individual, the pain of that was so intense that it was easier to mask that pain or to dull that pain through alcohol and drugs. We brought in our own in-house counseling. So we have group counseling, but we also have psychodynamic counseling. We have CBT, different types of counseling. It's not a kind of a case of somebody comes in and we say, okay, go and sit in that corner and pray astaghfar 1,000 times and you'll be okay. The idea has always been to take the best of Western models of therapy and combine it with the best of our traditions, because we have a rich history in addiction support. We might not realize, we might not be aware, but scholars as back as the 10th century have talked about addiction and how to overcome it. And the final part, which is our kind of USP, which sets us apart from other organizations in the sector, is that we focus on spirituality, because we firmly believe, if you don't address that part of a person's psyche, a person's very essence, then again, recovery becomes very difficult. By spirituality, we're not prescriptive what we mean by that. It doesn't matter what denomination you're from. It doesn't really matter what faith you're from. So we have brothers who are from the Hindu community, Sikh community, Christian community, some people from no faith. So what we would do for that aspect of their recovery is that we'd ask them to go back to their Gurdwara or to their mandir, to their religious people, to their mosque if they're from a different masjid, and take that nourishment from them. One of the other things that we realize over a period of time, the hidden victims within addiction. So one addict will have an impact on around 15 other people around them. And the people that suffer the most in the life of an addict are usually the mothers and the wives of the service user. We developed the women's side of our work. Unfortunately, we know that there's a large cohort of Muslim female addicts. So what we do, we have a female worker, and every week we have groups for these women. And many have said that this is the first time ever that they found a safe space where they can talk about what they're going through. A lot of them suffer from domestic violence. A lot of them, unfortunately, suffer from financial abuse. They have to go out to work because there's no money in the house. Many of them have mental health issues because of so many years of living under these conditions and having to contain all of that sadness, all of that frustration, all of that anger, and never having an outlet. So those groups are really strong. They're very well attended. And what we've tried to do is that throughout the day, the centre's open. There's always somebody here. And most of our service users, like most people, everybody is looking for love. Everybody is looking for affection, some warmth. So whoever comes here through the doors, whatever's happened, maybe they've relapsed, maybe they've had a bad weekend. A lot of the times it might be reeking of alcohol. They've been drinking as they come here. They'll always get a warm hug, a warm smile, a cup of tea, or whatever it is they need at that moment. Sometimes people just want some space. Sometimes people want to talk. So whatever it is, they'll get that. Every day in the evenings, we have some activities. So the idea is to keep people engaged as much as possible. One of the other key things that we've developed over time is the preventative work. So we go into schools, madrasas, Islamic seminaries, and state schools as well. They're calling us in because everybody's struggling with this issue of addiction. Whether it's colleges, schools, madrasas as well. Children as young as 9 are vaping, and everybody's looking for solutions. So we'll go into madrasas, and another key aspect which we're hoping to develop more is the employment side, because a lot of our service users were making their living through illegal means. They now no longer want to do that, but they find it difficult to find work. They've never worked, they don't have CVs, they don't have interview skills. So we've got a team now that is working towards that. So that, in a nutshell, is kind of what we do. The vision moving forward is to have centres like this around the country, because we know that unfortunately every major city with a Muslim community, a Muslim population, is struggling with this. So we're willing that if there's brothers in that city who have a concern, who have a passion for this, at no cost to them, we're willing to support them, so that our aim is that there's anybody who is struggling with addiction should not feel that we're on our own, that there's nothing out there. As a community, we're judged not by the way we treat those who are strong and healthy, but those who are weak and those who are sick. So we don't want anybody to feel that they're left behind. We don't want to leave anybody behind in our community, that there should be hope for every parent, for every mother that's crying, for every father that can't sleep at night, knowing that there is somebody out there, there's an organization out there in our community that is there to support in this condition as well. And most of our team that you see here, a lot of people aren't here as well. Most of them are doing it on a voluntary basis, because just for the concern that this is something that needs to be done, and if we don't do it, there's nobody else who's going to do it for us as our community. And then moving forward, what we want is to have the first residential Islamic rehab center in the country, in the whole of Europe. At the moment, unfortunately, many brothers who are in serious addiction, they'll go to Pakistan, they'll go South Africa, some will go India. We feel that as a community, it's kind of it's a scourge on us, really, that with so much wealth in our community, that we don't have this provision for people who need it in this country. And so we want that. And the next step for us is we've kind of outgrown this place, the vision that we have, the things that we do. So we're looking to move to a bigger premises as well. And a lot of what we do here, apart from a few grants and some funding that we get, most of it is through donations, going out, asking businesses, asking individuals to support us. So that kind of gives you an idea. But I think maybe the best way to bring to life the work that we do is to maybe listen to some of our brothers who've been through Spinney Hill, who've been in active recovery, who've gone through addiction. Brother Saab's been with us. How long have you been with us now, Saab?
I'm not very good at these times and all that, but I've been here a good few months now, 6 months I would say.
Yeah, so Brother Saab is from the Sikh community, and he's been working with us, and in particular Brother Khalil, who does the counselling. So I'll allow Saab to say a few words.
My name is Saab. My addiction went on for 45 years. I started at the age of 9. I went on to glue. It went on to other things like gas and everything. That started at the age of 9 in Birmingham, Handsworth. My father was a milkman. I used to go milk round with him, waking up 3 o'clock in the morning. He'd stop and drop me off at the school. I'd go through the front gate, out the back gate, onto the railway track, and that was me schooling myself. That was school for me, getting high, because I had to fix myself. It led for me going into children's home, secure units, taken away from my parents. I met other people inside, which led to other stuff, cannabis. I actually ended up on heroin. I was on heroin for nearly 35 years, and crack and alcohol. I managed to give all this up 4 years ago. After 45 years, I went through institutions, I went into prisons, 11 and a half years. In that journey, I lost a lot of people. In that journey, I did cry out. It was like waking up to death every day. It was waking up in a battlefield every morning, simple period. There was no time for good morning or this. There was none of that. It was waking up and it was war. It was simple. There was no time for nothing. Out of all my life, I'm 55 years old. I don't think I've lived a day of real life. But anyway, this journey's taking me in and out of wherever. And I wanted help. I knew that life's got to be better than this. But everywhere they were sending me, they were talking about doing this, doing that. They weren't understanding me, and I wasn't understanding this program. It wasn't working for me. So the only thing I could do was just carry on taking drugs to fix myself, to get through the day. A lot of stuff happened. All doors got closed. My nephew got stabbed, got killed. I got the blame. My son got stabbed. He survived. I got the blame. I was on the street. I had nowhere to go. I had no place. I was actually on the street. I was homeless. I hit rock bottom. I understand rock bottom. I had to hit rock bottom to be where I am today. And through that, I went through institutions, hostels, dry houses. But everything that they were sending me to, giving me to, wasn't working. Because they've got a set routine, regime, whatever. It wasn't working for me. If I come to see you, if I don't like your voice, your approach, doesn't matter what qualifications you got, it isn't happening. So that was a big problem. You understand? Unfortunately, I went a lot of places. I never gave up though. I never gave up. Somebody said, try here, try there. I gave everything a go because I knew there's got to be something better than this. I gave the Sikh community, I gave all the other AA, NA, nothing. I came here, it wasn't working until I had a one-to-one with a brother. He brought me out my shell. He made me sit in this chair and sit out and do what I'm doing here today. I've been to a lot of meetings for over 4.5, 5 years. I'd go there, I'd sit there, I'd listen, I'd leave. I wouldn't shake, I wouldn't hug, I wouldn't even say my name. I wouldn't even have a cup of tea there. Because every time I was going to these meetings or wherever I was going, I was told the do's and the don'ts. The do's and the don'ts. For the start, I don't understand the do's and the don'ts. So that was a big problem for me. You know, you're given a book and you got to go through the book and do this. Give me the book, I can read it, but I don't understand it. So that's a big problem. And I've come here, I've just stayed quiet, listened. I've had a one-to-one. The important thing that brother did was, didn't say nothing. He listened. He listened, he observed. He listened, he observed. And when I talk like this, I'll stop and I'll say, what was I talking about? Because I'll forget. Now, if you can't turn around in 10 seconds and tell me what we was talking about, I know where your thoughts were. And he's turned around replying, he goes, this is what we was talking about, Saab. He brought me out my shell. He told me what kind of person I was. And he told me that I was a good person. Everybody else that I've met, all I've been told was I was a bad person. I'm no good father. I'm no good husband. I'm no good son. I'm no good brother. So what am I then? If I'm none of these, what am I? You understand? So, and when I go to these other meetings, that all I'm being told is to reprogram myself. How do I do that? What's reprogramming? What is that? What I've learned, I learned here through the help of Brother Khalil with his patience. And I owe a lot to him. If it wasn't for this brother here, I wouldn't be sitting in any of these meetings. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair. Okay. Every day, I'll tell you straight, I wake up in the morning, my prayer starts, I look at it, it's a good day to die. Because that's the only place where I'm going to find my peace. That's what I realize. I've realized that's the only time I am going to have peace, when I am over the other side. It's a war going on here with me every day. And I can't take my life because I ain't got the courage. I have died through drugs, but people have brought me back to life. And I hate them people, because when I was dead, for them few seconds or minutes, I was at peace. What words can't comprehend. But I'm learning how to live, how to survive, and how to give back. But everything I am today, all the courage and everything, is because of Brother Khalil here and Spinney Hill, the centre, the support that they've given me and the understanding where everybody else has failed me. And all I want to say is thank you.
Like I said at the beginning, that this is not an easy thing, to be so raw, to be naked in front of people emotionally in that way. So I just want to say thank you again.
You're welcome, my brothers, You're my family, because you don't judge me. And whatever I've got to say, you actually, in fact, respect me for the journey that I've come, the path that I've walked, and to sit here and tell the tale. And all I say is thank you all.
Thank you. I'm going to just ask Brother Imtiaz to come say a few words. So Imtiaz has been with us for maybe 2 years now.
Yeah.
But his journey, it's been a long journey as well. I'll let Imtiaz just explain how long. And but mashallah, is doing very well now. With Allah shukr. Let Imtiaz just start from the beginning, really, when it started, where it started.
Yeah. My name is Imtiaz. I'm a Northern lad. About 15 I started experimenting weed. 16 we did ecstasy. Then I think 17 a movie came out, Trainspotting. So about 10 of us, we've gone to watch Trainspotting, thinking, yeah, it's a movie. Now in the movie, they're saying something like it's better than sex, heroin. So we've all come out of there and we've all tried heroin. Out of the all things we could have done, we thought, you know what, come on, let's get a bag. So 10 of us have now been addicted to heroin after a couple of months. This ride ended for me 30 years, about 2 years ago. Now this involved a lot of things, because we moved from Blackburn. And I think we initially moved, for me, to try and, let's move to a city, let's try and see if there's any change. But nah, it went the other way, it went even worse. So numerous prison sentences, I've done 15, 16 sentences. I've done about 11 or 12 detoxes. I've done about 8 rehabs. And I'm still not sorted. Every time I go detox, back on the plane, I'm on the airport. Make sure you're there, Now, I came out 2022. I did my last crime in 2019. I was actively just doing silly things. So 2022, I came out. And this is the first time in a long time that my mind is actually registering the Imtiaz. You're bloody 45 years old. You're not 35, you're not in your 30s, or, So I've started thinking about recovery. I've started thinking about getting good. I've got kids. I've got a loving wife. I've got a functioning family. I've got half a chance. Somebody mentioned Spinney to me. I just walked into Spinney and I've walked in. I'm like, nah, these lot ain't gonna tell me the Imtiaz Zab, pray Dur Sharif per, Berakat Namaz per, you'll be alright, bro. He's gonna everything. I'm like, no, this is the same thing that my dad's been telling me. My mom's been telling me. So Khalil Bhai steps in and he's our counselor and he explains to me the Imtiaz just slowly, each day at a time. Shukar Alhamdulillah, I'm clean today, roughly 19 months. In these 19 months, yes, I've had lapses, 100%. And I don't know if there's going to be more, but today I'm sat here and I'm clean. I can walk down that road with my head held high. I'm ready. I'm not hiding behind an addiction. I'm not hiding in a car. Doesn't matter what car I'm in, but I'm hiding. If you're using, you're hiding, bro. I'm going to be emotional.
So mashallah, these are two brothers. I was explaining to the brothers earlier that we have at any one time we have about 40 open cases, as men and women, and there are alhamdulillah, bi'idhnillah, through the fazl of Allah, so many like Imtiaz, so many like Saab who have made changes. And the aim with Spinney Hill, like Zishan was saying, is not just about overcoming addiction, but also connecting with your faith, making connection with Allah. And so many brothers, mashallah, who have come here with addiction issues, who weren't praying, have learned to pray. They've connected with their faith we never say to anybody, come and pray. You know, whoever's here, we pray our salam. If somebody wants to join, they do. If somebody wants to continue playing pool, that's fine as well. It's not directive in any way, but through the environment and through the concern, mashallah, a lot of people have overcome their addiction. They've connected with their faith. So many marriages that were on the verge of being broken, those marriages have been saved. So many brothers who are in addiction for so many years, they've gone on to perform Umrah, they've gone in Jamaat, they've gone in other, other good activities. And the vision has always been that people like Imtiaz who come in as people in addiction, who then go through the journey of recovery, and then they then go on and give something back, and then they become peer mentors to the other people who are coming through, inshallah.
Two things I gotta mention. Those who you just saw, mashallah, they have a lot of determination and they're very consistent in what they do. And it was their choice to be here that got them on the journey. A lot of people come and they're 50-50 and they don't have a conviction. They won't make it. They don't make it. But it's their consistency and their battle, their fight every day. You can imagine what they go through to get here. And that is amazing and that's huge. So hats off to them. That's one. And the second thing is that with that consistency, we learned a lot from them as well. Through their journey, we get to understand what they go through and how we can help others. So I just want to say thank you to the brothers.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. So my role is mainly just to open up the part of the brain that deals with knowledge and understanding, because generally people are not very health literate. So you heard a few snippets that we should reflect on from our brothers here who just spoke. There are a lot of people who don't want to be alive. There are a lot. And it's a sign of the end of time. Our Messenger of Allah ﷺ said that towards the end of time, a man will walk past a graveyard and will say, perhaps that I was in that grave. And we're seeing it now. And Saab made a really powerful point that for a lot of people, it's a battle. Every day is a battle. Every day is a war. And he said something that a lot of patients say to me, I'd be at peace if I wasn't here. The wrong thing to do is to chuck medication at these people. The wrong thing to do is to give them a false reassurance that if you just go and do this type of therapy for X amount, you'll be fine. And to a degree, the wrong thing to do is to chuck, Quran and Hadith at them as well, because the souls aren't ready. So any expert that deals with behavioral change will tell you that if you can convince a human being to understand how and why they've got to where they've got to, then change is not a question anymore. So the only goal that I have is for people to just open up that window in their brain of knowledge and education of how the brain works from childhood, what impacts the brain and neurophysiologically, development-wise, what impacts the brain through childhood and early adulthood as well. And what you'll discover is that the patterns are exactly the same. You have two types of addicts. You have those who stumbled into it through no volition of their own. It's just wrong crowd. Or I came across this, and their life is very good and has always been very good. The vast majority have been through really, really difficult stuff, especially during childhood. And essentially what's not happened is the parents or caregivers, people around them who are supposed to help them develop in a loving, what Saab say, non-judgmental way, being accepted. That process hasn't happened to help them calibrate some of the adverse childhood experiences that they've been through or trauma that they've been through. And then what happens as a result, if no one's helped that child or that young person calibrate their emotions and their thoughts, then life is really painful. We're all adults here. It's not easy for a child to understand, why have my parents divorced? It's not easy for a child to witness, why is mum and dad screaming and shouting and swearing and cursing and abusing each other in front of us. It's virtually impossible for a child to understand, why is dad hitting mum? And equally mum hitting dad, because that happens as well. It does. In 1 in 5 cases, it happens. So these adverse childhood experiences are really, really hard for them to understand. And so what happens is then life becomes painful for them. And it's very easy to have that escapism through means that aren't very, very helpful, and then you slip into addictive type behaviors. So my real goal is to help people understand, wherever they are on their journey with addictions, is how did you get here? And what happened to your brain in the process? And then what you see happening consistently is, you know, the penny drop moment. Oh, that makes so much sense. And so the good physician, what they do with any condition, whether it's diabetes, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's obesity, whatever it is, the good physician always explains to the patient that this is the root cause. And if you deal with the root cause, the rest is history, you'll be fine. And it's the same principle with this. Okay, addiction isn't really the problem. How did you get here? What's the root cause, and how are we going to address some of these, you know, root causes? And then you see the same patterns in that when you have patients who can see how they got there, recovery is a lot more easier for them. And the lasting effects are a lot longer as well. So, you know, experts in this field, they say it's like when you go to a garden, you know, in the springtime, your wife drags you out in the garden and says, right, it's time to sort out the weeds. So the dumb thing to do, which is what I used to do, is, you know, just snip, snip, hope no one notices. And then what's going to eventually happen to those weeds? They'll just come back up again. The right thing to do is to listen to your wife and get it from the roots and pull it out. That will take longer. It's more painful, it's more messy, you have to get your hands dirty, but the effects will last a lot longer. So that's part number one. Part number two is educating people who are in leadership positions. So imams, teachers, and so forth. Because again, the risk is to just say, here's a Quranic ayat, here's a hadith, here's a book, here's a worksheet. It won't work. Whereas if you help teachers, imams, and people in leadership roles understand, this is how that child got there, this is what you need to do to help them, it empowers them, and likelihood is, you know, you'll have a situation where there's engagement. That's where I come in, just to help with the education side of it.
Just to say jazakallah khair to you guys and everyone who's come today to share their stories. Some of the stories that we've, you know, the challenges that we've heard are very, very difficult. You know, a lot of things that, you know, people have to go through. It's a struggle on a day-to-day basis, and we understand that. And one of the key questions maybe will come up is, why is Muslim Bikers working with an organization like yours? We are a biking group. But what we've always said is we're beyond biking. You know, it's not just about bikes. It's about community, and it's about helping each other. Some of the conversations that we've had to go through, you know, brothers just sitting in a cafe, just having a coffee or a tea, and you hear about the stories. And Brother Omar said, everyone's going through some type of struggle. And it's only when you sit down for a cup of tea, you realize my brothers are going through some difficulties in life. So if we are giving them an opportunity to have that dialogue, to have those conversations, is very important. Whether it's through a biking club or a car club or a snooker club or whatever the case may be, is giving them that opportunity to talk. And I think is very important, because often you'll find sometimes brothers or sisters, they just want to talk. And giving them that avenue is very important. And so the amazing work that you guys do, may Allah put barakah in it, and allow you to do some amazing work which helps the people who need your services the most.